to an episode of BestowCast. Just this past week, or just not too terribly long ago, or in the near future, or in the near past, depending on when you're listening to this, if you're somehow listening to this in the past, Hollywood dropped a bunch of trailers just recently. 3 of them that are in the geek culture we'll talk about tonight, which includes the latest Transformers movie, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and Indiana Jones 5. I might be discussing some things related to what's in the video, or what's related to the comics, or what's related to the TV series or movie or whatever. So there's potential spoilers, maybe. I mean, I'm expressing my opinion, but it could be considered a spoiler. So just be aware of that. I understand if you want to put a bookmark on this audio and come back when the movie actually comes out and see how right I am, or how wrong I am, or how many times I'll misspeak and say the wrong thing, like calling Laura Dannon Willow in the Willow thing. I mean, I couldn't believe that when I was editing. It's like I referred to the child, the baby, as Willow, and that's not correct. Willow, of course, is the main character. But enough blathering. Let's get into this. So we got the latest Transformers movie, which is called Rise of the Beasts. I will hold on to my comments about that in a bit, but of course, we start the video with something that appears at the end of the video. I'm assuming that's for YouTube views or whatever, but I kind of find it annoying where it's like you got this 3-second preview and then they play it again at the end. It's like, oh, here's the most awesome scene. And I'm sure it's probably a spoiler scene on top of it. So to my understanding, this Rise of the Beasts movie that's coming out is technically a prequel. I haven't seen much in regards to that. I've just seen some of my friends post stuff on Facebook where this is to take place after Bumblebee, but before the Michael Bay, the Bayformers come out. I don't know how accurate that is, but I mean, it kind of makes sense because Optimus still kind of looks, at least in the trailers, he looks like the G1 Optimus, the Mack truck. And then we get, we're introduced to, I guess, with the guy, our new hero of the series. Now, they showed the Porsche, and I can't remember who the Porsche is. Oh, I'm a horrible Transformers fan, but the Porsche does. Is the Porsche Mirage? Is the Porsche Mirage? I don't know if it's Mirage. I just remember in G1, and I'm pretty sure it's my Mirage, where he's able to hollow project himself into other areas to make it appear like there's more than one or whatever. But this time it's the Porsche, and I can't remember. I gotta look this up. Hold on. Mirage is a race car. I thought so. And in the trailer they show this Porsche, and the Porsche does the whole duplicate himself and stuff. I guess the scene that I'm referring to is the guy's running from the cops, or at least the Autobot is running from the cops. So I guess you can't really be a race car when that scene is. You kind of want a more practical car. But it's just kind of one of those things that's just the way with the Bayformers movies actually became, where it's just everything is just up for grabs. So opinion time. So here's my take on the Bayformers to begin with. I'm not really a fan. I'm kind of, I was a G1 fan, and I think it begins and ends with G1. When G2 came out, well, G2 was just a rebooted G1 with animated interstitials or whatever. So can't really count G2. When it comes to Beast Wars, that came out in 1996. I think I was well beyond Transformers and G.I. Joe and all that other stuff. At least until I got to the ripe old age that I am now. So I was never really into I wasn't really into the Beast Wars era. I wasn't really into the Beast Machines era. That would be kind of like my brother's era. He's really into that, but not really into G1. So as far as like the movie goes, I kind of don't care that they introduced the beast machines. I don't know if they're just I guess they're just the beast machines. it doesn't bother me. And as far as like Bayformers goes, I wasn't really like too hot on the idea of Bayformers to begin with. I saw the first one. I liked the first one. I wanted to see it in theaters. We somehow missed it, but I got it on DVD. And it was also during a time when like my youngest kiddo was getting into these kind of things. So she was watching like was it Transformers Prime was out at that time. So it was kind of fun where it's like, oh, we can share in this. Here, here's the crap, here's the rusty old crap that your dad's into. And I remember getting her like Transformers for Christmas and stuff, and they were really poorly made. There was like barely a piece of plastic holding them together. And then, of course, the Bayformers movies come out, and, she was super excited about it and wanted to go see it in the theater. So we saw Bayformers 2. And my God, I was so embarrassed. Why do we have to sexualize Transformers? Why do we have to have the Constructicons have balls? I mean, where do they go? Well, who gives a shit where they go? Why do we have to make a testicle joke in a goddamn Transformers movie? And I mean, all in all, like I said earlier in the podcast, they kind of just take the Transformers lore and just kind of go their own direction with it, which, fine. As far as movies go, you kind of don't want a one-on-one, remake, But I'd like to have some homage. It's like at least Marvel's kind of gone in their own direction, but at least they homage or pay attention to or try to get it as close to the comic versions as possible while still doing their own thing. Like Sonic is another one. It's just kind of they're kind of doing their own thing. I think the big turnoff for like the Bayformers movies is the whole. I feel like I just need a tetanus shot after watching this because they instead of they have to make everything overcomplicated and make it look all shardy and shard, not sharty. Let's get that correct. I didn't say sharty, I said shardy. But there's just like they're comprised of many like small bits. So I just feel like my eyes just need a tetanus shot after watching these. And I think after like the third movie, I was just like, I wasn't really impressed with the second movie. By the third movie, I'm like, I'm out. I don't really, this does not appeal to me. This isn't my Transformers. And it's fine. Not everything's made for me. I get it. I mean, these are big money making movies and whatever. And if you like these movies, then that's good on you. I'm glad that you get something out of it. Outside the first movie, I didn't get anything out of it. And I think the only other Transformers movie that I saw in theaters was Bumblebee. Because when I was watching the trailers, you see like the G1 shots, and it's like, oh, they're getting us closer to the G1. Maybe we'll get something out of it. It already has a bad mark against it for being a prequel, and I'm not a big fan of prequels. But it's like, oh well, maybe the director. I think I read somewhere like the director was a fan of G1 and wanted it closer related to G1. No, yeah. Basically, what you saw in the trailers was what was in the movie, and that was it. It was just like one teeny tiny scene, and the rest of it's still kind of the Bayformers kind of thing, and it's like, bleh. And it's a prequel, so it's it's a prequel that features Bumblebee. Huh, I wonder what happens to Bumblebee at the end. I assume that he just gets blown to pieces and never survives to make it to the rest of the films. So, I kind of bailed out on the rest of the series. I didn't really watch any of them. The last one I definitely didn't watch. The whole, Prime being a bad guy or whatever, which I guess they called that from the comics and stuff. I mean, I think one of my turnoffs too is like, I was super excited to see the Dinobots, and it's just like, you get Grimlock, and they kind of downsized him, and it's just like, you downsized Grimlock, they downsized like RC, they downsized. Who am I thinking of? RC, Jetfire. Jetfire. They make Jetfire this antique that just lives in the junkyard or whatever, and it's just meh. So I mean, just this being a Bayformers movie is meh. I'm not really interested. This featuring the Beast machines, I could kind of care less. It actually doesn't really make sense. It doesn't fit in the lore, because my understanding with Beast Wars and Beast Machines is this is another generation out from, there's maybe multiple generations out from the G1 story, and I think there's some sort of like time vortex or some time travel that happens where they end up on Earth during the time when the Ark has crash landed on Earth during the dinosaur age or whatever, and the Predacons are is it Predacons? Predacons are the bad guys, right? And the Maximals, I think. They're trying to protect the integrity of the original the G1 gang. All right, kind of cool idea. This, if this is a prequel and this takes that place after Bumblebee, it makes absolutely no sense that these animals exist. And I think like one of the turnoffs for me, and I'm gonna reveal how I'm two-sided about this, where it's like I don't, if they transform into an animal, they should look like an animal. And it's like, and I don't like the fact that they look like animals. They should be things. Gosh darn it, they should be tape recorders and stuff like that. I'll speak out and say how much I hate the beast machines because I don't really like the fact that they're biological things, and then I go back on my statement saying, well, I like the Insecticons and I like the Dinobots, which are basically the same thing. So all right, I'm a hypocrite, whatever. So this doesn't really make sense where it's like, oh, we have these beast machines on Earth that are supposed to be, in disguise, so you don't know who they are. They could be just actual beasts, and they just look like robots. They're just robot beasts. So I don't know, like the whole thing, they're robots in disguise. That's the whole premise. They have a theme song that has robots in disguise, and they're not really disguised. They look like a big robotic monkey, gorilla, bird, some of the other ones that I saw in there. So this is a pass for me. I'm probably not going to see it in theaters. However, if you're the generation that's into beast machines and you like the Bayformer stuff, I totally go for it. I support those who, I don't want to belittle you if you like that kind of stuff. Just, you like what you like. That's fine. As for me, this isn't my thing. I'm going to probably skip, and maybe one day when it's on Netflix, maybe I'll check it out. But this is a hard pass. Next we have up on deck is the Indiana Jones 5 trailer, which of course is the official title is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I think this is probably the first one. I don't think that Steven Spielberg directed this. Yeah, Steven Spielberg and George Lucas were executive producers, but that's about it. Which is fine. I mean, if you want this franchise to stand, don't necessarily have to keep going to the same people. And as far as I understand, Spielberg was done with The Last Crusade, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. They kind of came back and did a thing. So scanning through this, there seems to be scenes with young Indiana Jones. I kind of assume that that's going to happen. That's kind of Disney's thing anymore, is that we digitally de-age everybody. So they've done that. They've gone to that well several times. So why would I think that this is any different with Indiana Jones? I'd assume that's the way it is. Rumor is that this is the last Indiana Jones with Harrison Ford. I wonder if he's going to take the contract take a similar contract that James Earl Jones took, where it's like, well, you can use my likeness in perpetuity from here on out. You can portray Vader as much as you want. I'm wondering if this might go the same way. One of the problems that I have with this, and this is not counting, of course, I'm assuming that there's going to be CGI Indiana Jones, computer animated Indiana Jones. The problem that I have with this, which is the same problem that I had with the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, the same problem that I kind of have with the new Star Wars stuff where they introduced the old people, was like, there were so many years that we should have had adventures with these guys. Indiana Jones should have had a ton more films than what he had. I get it. People are human and they don't necessarily want to be delegated to doing the one role for the rest of their life. But it's like, when they decide to, be nostalgic and go back for it and, hit up the people that are nostalgic and have memories of this stuff and want, try to hit their pocketbooks. It's just kind of rough because it's like, I want to see Indiana Jones have adventures. I don't want to see geriatric Indiana Jones having adventures. I mean, I kind of feel the same way with Picard too, where it's like, I wanted to see Picard in his prime having adventures, not old man Picard like living on a grape farm or whatever, or a wine. Is it a wine farm? Vineyard. So it's kind of that's kind of a tough sell with me. I assume that's what's going to happen in this movie is that they're going to pass the torch. I mean, that's what they were supposed to do with Mutt. He was supposed to take over the Indiana Jones series from there on out. Kind of glad that he didn't, because Mutt Jones is not a not a likable character. But they do introduce his goddaughter. His goddaughter, or yeah, he's her godfather. So yes, his goddaughter. So I'm assuming that they're gonna maybe pass the torch to her, which would be fine. Whatever. Harrison Ford isn't going to be doing this anymore, and if you want more Indiana Jones, you got to go somewhere. And my understanding is that there might be a Disney Plus series after this, so maybe the goddaughter will be, the Indiana Jones moving forward. I mean, it's just a name, and a lot of people get uptight where it's like, well, Indiana Jones has to be Harrison Ford. It can't be anybody else, and it's like, well, Indiana was the dog's name, so anybody can really, if they want to hold up the lineage or whatever, whatever, it's fine. Am I excited for this? Actually, I am pretty excited for this. I hope that this kind of puts the bad taste of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It just kind of washes that clear. Not that I don't hate Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but I don't like it either. It's like there's just Crystal of the Kingdom Skull is probably not my favorite. If I were to rank that, it would be, and it's out of the 4 movies, that's the 4th movie. And again, I'm the minority because I'm the one that likes Temple of Doom. I mean, Temple of Doom would probably be my number 1 choice. Maybe all right, here we go. Off the cuff ranking is like Temple of Doom, and then Last Crusade, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and whatever this ranks. I can't rank it now because it's not enough to have an opinion. But that's where it ranks. And I know like Steven Spielberg even like disavows Temple of Doom. It's a shame. I like Temple of Doom, and it's one of those rare things, and that it's a prequel. I always crap on prequels, and here's a prequel I actually like. I actually enjoyed. My affinity for Temple of Doom is probably because it's probably one of the first movies that I saw when I was growing up in the theater. So I remember that. I have vague memories of going with my mom and my grandmother. My mom trying to settle me down because it's like, I'm watching the minecart race and I'm bouncing and I'm into the moment and I'm bouncing all this stuff. And I also remember like it being in elementary and like the Indiana Jones Temple of Doom books being in the library. What a weird place. It was a specific elementary school. It wasn't like it wasn't mixed in with like the middle school, high school. It was just it was isolated in its own, and then it had its own library, and one of them was like a picture book for Temple of Doom, this PG-13 movie, and it has a picture book in an elementary school. It shows quite a bit. I'm kind of wondering I wonder if we'd waver back and forth between. We'll probably get a backstory with young Indiana Jones, with a computer generated Indiana Jones, and then we probably get whatever he has to do as old man Indiana Jones. Yeah, I mean I'm kind of excited for it. I can't lie about it. I hope they do. I hope they do good. And that is that. All right, and then finally we get into Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Actually, one of my favorite series of the Marvel universe is the Guardians of the Galaxy. And it's the last film, reportedly, this is the last film with this team makeup, which is fine with me. If you've ever read the comics, the team makeup all alternated quite a bit. So there's the roster's ever changing. It's they're the Guardians. They're kind of similar to the Avengers. They're the space Avengers, really. In the course of this trailer, we're introduced to Adam Warlock, who we were promised. So I wouldn't be surprised if Adam Warlock's introduction in this film is kind of a part and parcel to the makeup of the new team. Adam Warlock in the modern comics, modern Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, I don't know how modern, probably like the last 10 years or so or prior. Adam Warlock it was a team member, so it's exciting to see him kind of finally being a part of this. A little bit too late, but then again, like I said, he could be a transitional he could be a part of the team. I mean, they've already in the Guardians of the Galaxy 2, they introduced the rest of the Reavers, and a lot of the Reavers that they Ravengers. This isn't Firefly. The Ravengers. They introduce a lot of the old Guardians of the Galaxy team. So Sylvester Stallone, of course, plays a character called Starhawk in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Starhawk, if you've read the comics in the 80s, was a part of the team to do with Starhawk and Yondu. So, this is kind of an interesting take of how they moved forward with this team. It kind of follows the comics, but doesn't follow the comics. It kind of takes on its own life, which is kind of nice. The comics were kind of hit and miss sometimes. I frequently remember them like on the verge of cancellation every time, and then they come out with a new team, and then they reboot it and they bring it back out. As far as the comics go. So yeah, this is the last one with James Gunn, and then James Gunn crosses the aisle. He goes to the other side of the street. Well, I guess technically he already went to the other side of the street. He did Peacemaker. He did the Suicide Squad, which is actually I like the Suicide Squad as well. And in recent news, he's I think he's a co-producer or he's the decision maker of like the the DC Comics movies moving forward. Which I'm kind of excited for. I mean, they brought back Henry Cavill, and I think James Gunn is going to direct a Superman movie. How wild is that? So far, he's as far as the superhero universe, he's done pretty good by me. I kind of look forward to seeing what he does with the DC universe, because right now it's a hot friggin' mess over there, and there's no coherency. They've swapped out like the creative director or the producer that's in charge so many times, and each producer wants their own thing, and I'm hoping that he does something good with the DC universe. I'm actually kind of interested in his take. I don't know if they're going to do the soft reboot on DC or not, but that's a story for a different podcast. We're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy 3. This trailer, when I saw it, I kind of felt like this trailer seems to be a kind of a bummer. It has a lot of I guess sad tones to it, or it looks like it's going to be a bummer summer kind of deal. We get the opening shot where we assume that he's like coming back to Earth. Yeah, maybe he's coming back to Earth, or maybe he's going to an alternate Earth, and we get this town that's compromised by a lot of lack of a better term, furries. Now, I didn't really know this just by watching the trailer. I did do some little reading on it afterwards. That the big bad in this is, of course, High Evolutionary. Again, High Evolutionary and Ego the Living Planet. Who would have thought that you would ever get a movie about like those kind of people? But then again, who would have ever thought that you got a movie that has Starro as the villain in the Suicide Squad? So it's either a town that was messed with the High Evolutionary. I kind of got and this is a thing to ponder, is that I kind of got this as a possible X-Men reference. I mean, are these creatures technically mutants, or is this kind of a film that has like some mutants in it? I don't know. I mean, High Evolutionary just kind of, he messes with genetics and such. And in parallel, you kind of have in Doctor Strange, you have like the Minotaur kind of character. And I know in like the comic books, there's a couple Minotaur characters, or maybe it's the same one and stuff, that came from High Evolutionary. So I kind of wonder if that was kind of a seeded thing where we have the Minotaur in Doctor Strange, and the Minotaur actually is a subject, or comes from the High Evolutionary, or it could just be just a planet full of animal people, which is that's not a bad thing either. Not everything has to be X-Men, damn it. But we get some flashbacks. We see a little bit more with Rocket. We see some stuff going on with Rocket and his. I know in the comics he had a girlfriend that was, I believe, an otter. We see a little bit going on with that. But yeah, it's basically the Guardians declaring this is their final stand. Which kind of brings to mind now, this is kind of my argument, and again, I don't know if this is true or whatever, But majority of the team is going to die. Peter Quill's going to die. And then the same said about Ant-Man. The new Ant-Man trailer came out, and Ant-Man's going to die at the hands of Kang. So yeah, with Ant-Man dying, his daughter becomes the next Ant-Man, or Ant-Woman, I guess I should say. She has a name. I don't think it's even Ant-Man or Ant-Woman. I don't remember what her name is offhand. But I kind of dislike this whole thing of, in order to usher in the next thing, we have to break all the damn toys. It was kind of my frustration when it came to the Star Wars sequels. It's like, I mean, Han Solo's death made sense. In behind the scenes, Harrison Ford was kind of done playing that character, and I kind of felt like, if he kind of made the deal with Disney where it's like, I'll come back and I'll play this role, but you have to kill me off because I don't want to be, I don't want to be tied up with this. I mean, that was the whole reason why he was frozen in carbonite, because we didn't know if he was going to return for a third film. So he wanted to be killed off, and I think it was a compromise where it's like, oh, we'll put you in a stasis kind of thing, and you can come back if you decide to come back. So and his death is a poignant and means something. But as the series goes on, like, every other character just dies because they have to die. And I remember, like, Kevin Smith saying, well, Chewbacca has to die, and the Millennium Falcon has to explode, and we have to get rid of all this thing to make room for the new stuff. And it's like, do we really? Like, and I don't know, like, when it comes to Ant-Man and the Guardians of the Galaxy, I mean, I understand, I get it, one or two people might have to die. I kind of, here's a spoiler kind of thing, I kind of feel like Star-Lord has to sacrifice himself to save the team, but he may not necessarily die. It has I believe that it might have something related to High Evolutionary. I kind of have a feeling that maybe he self-sacrifices himself and ends up becoming the next Ego of the Living Planet. Maybe. On the other hand, this is a comic book series, or this is a comic book, series would be proper, films, that in the comics, these characters die quite frequently. But also in the comics, these characters kind of come back quite frequently, too. Their deaths are kind of meaningless. And when you kind of do this in film, where it's like, oh, we kill things, and then, kill a person, kill a character, and then we bring a character back, it kind of, dulls the effect of what that meaning is. We can't really bring Tony Stark back because it kind of, dulls that meaning. Although, I guess they did do it with Agent Coulson. He did die, but he eventually came back. As for me, I'm excited for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I hope this is a big send-off for everybody. I hope some characters return to Guardians of the Galaxy 4, and some characters, we get some new teammates. That's fine. Some new blood. I know in the comics that Iron Man eventually becomes a Guardian of the Galaxy. Agent Venom becomes a part of the Guardians of the Galaxy. We had the Asgardians of the Galaxy in the comic books, although the Asgardians of the Galaxy was kind of hinted at in Thor: Love and Thunder, but not really. Thor was just a part of the Guardians team. Well, he kind of self-appointed himself as a part of the Guardians team. So yeah, I would like to see another take on, another bite at the apple with a new team. I kind of wish I could see Sylvester Stallone doing his role, but I don't. From my understanding, it sounds like he's kind of retired or retiring or taking smaller roles or whatnot. And I'm kind of interested to see how this kind of relates to the Christmas special, the holiday special that they did on Disney Plus, which I did recently watch. Maybe we'll do an episode talking about that. But that has some interesting implications that moving forward, I'm sure this will carry over. Spoilers for the holiday special, but somehow the Guardians bought Nowhere from the collector. So the Guardians kind of run Nowhere. In comparison to the comic books, I assume somebody else ran Nowhere. You have Cosmo, who was kind of their security detail and assigned them to missions. So I'm not 100%. I never really, in the comic books, I never assumed that the Guardians owned Nowhere. That was just their base of operations. Where this kind of, as far as the holiday special, they kind of outright say that they bought Nowhere. They own Nowhere, which is kind of an interesting, an interesting thread. But there, I kind of spoiled my own. If we talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special in a future episode, I kind of spoiled my thing. I spoiled it. Sorry. We'll cover those bases again. But as always, we've reached the end. Will I see Guardians of the Galaxy 3? Totally. I'll be into that. Will I see Indiana Jones 5? Totally. I'm into that. Will I see the Transformers? I don't even know what it is. Is it Transformers 6 now? I don't know how many movies are out. Will I see that? That's a pass for me. So that's my detail. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Comment where you can comment. If you're listening to this to the YouTubes, comment below. If you're listening to this on Spotify or any of the places that you listen to the podcast, just drop on by our Facebook or Twitter and just chat us up. I'd like to hear your opinions. Just keep it civil and keep it nice, and just be aware that other people, you don't have to yuck everybody's yum. Just let people enjoy things that they enjoy. With that being said, I am Paul. I am signing off, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye-bye.